Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome to the pre-release here at Gongaii Games, or I should say after the pre-release. Also, welcome to the beer bracket, because currently the top match is going on their best of three, and the rest of us, we're sitting here chatting what we learned today. So I'm here with the Gongaii crew. Join us for a recap of our pre-release.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. Joined here by, that's right, the Gongaii crew. So big reminder that our friends over at Gongaii can go check them out for all of your, that's right, pre-release orders. They are up on their website. Use code Commando10 at checkout for 10% off your purchase. I don't see anything from that, but it helps my LGS, and they do good stuff. Did everybody like their Uprising today?
It was great.
Yeah. Shout out to Gongaii, and everybody's got their beer, because welcome to the beer bracket.
Yay!
So, all right, so let's go around the table real quick. I'll just go left to right. Everybody introduce themselves. No stranger to the channel is Adam. How's it going, my man?
Pretty good these days. Yeah, pre-release is a lot of fun. My name's Adam. Turtle Rock on Discord channels and stuff, if you ever see me. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. If you knew me from Magic days, kind of on and off from Magic for decades, as most players are. Came over to Flesh and Blood in Arcane Rising days, so not a stranger to pre-releases here. This one in particular, Uprising, was a lot of fun, a lot of interesting surprises, things we'll get into later. But yeah, looking forward to what we're talking about today.
Nice. My name is Matthew. For me, this is my first pre-release ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I joined, or I got into Flesh and Blood after Monarch was already released, and then due to work and other personal things, I missed Tales and the...
Got it.
I guess the Farewell to WTR, which had the pre-release feel. But yeah, so this was my first sealed event, so that was a lot of fun, a lot of learning. Yeah, a lot of surprises, weird synergies that I discovered, and play patterns I wasn't initially going for, but it seemed to work for me, so...
Nice.
Yeah.
And what he means by personal stuff is that means he was on call, folks. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Josh, T Bombadil on Discord.
Is that how you say it?
T Bombadil. Yes, like
I just learned something today.
Yeah, so it's like Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Two of us learned something today. Yeah, so for sure.
I've heard people say T Bombadil, or whatever, you know.
To bomb badly.
Tim Bomb Badly on Discord. This is my second pre-release this weekend. I've played all the heroes now, and this set, it rips. It's a lot of fun, and really excited to keep playing. I want to see Fi and CC. Pulled a mask this week. Can't wait to try it.
Do you want to see Fi and CC, though?
I want to be Fi and CC.
Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Kevin. Again.
That's right.
No wine tasting
No
this
wine,
time.
no wine this time. Cider today, but yeah, I'm Wave to High in the Discords here and about. I too have participated in the pre-release weekend, like Josh, from yesterday, and I too have tried all the heroes.
Nice.
Some things I like, some things I don't like, but overall, really good experience and some. It was really fun. A lot of games, a lot of intense matches, really close, and yeah, like Adam, I did play Magic from before, a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh as well, and a little bit of Pokemon. But Flesh and Blood is the game for me. It's been a lot of fun, especially with these guys. So yeah, that's me.
All right, and I would also like to welcome you as a first timer to the channel, and first in terms of getting your face on, not in terms of the channel, but
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So hi guys, my name's John. This is my third. Started at Vegas on the pre-release this time, world premiere, and then once at Fable, and now at Gongaii. And guess a little bit of backstory. I'm an old school Magic player. Started when I was about 6, so talking revised days.
You started at 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Years
yeah.
old.
Yeah, my brother picked up the game, and then I started, right? And I've been in card games ever since, from Warlord to Game of Thrones to Yu-Gi-Oh! To Pokemon, you name it, all over the front. So.
Right. And funny story about John. So he's actually been banned from Gongaii because when we did the WT or our farewell WTR, him and his wife together combined pulled 2 foil Easter eggs out of the same thing.
That's right.
So I promptly banned them from ever coming back. But the list wasn't consistent, so here he is today.
I snuck my way back in.
That's right.
I
Yeah,
snuck
that's
my
right.
way back in.
Security's
right.
real low.
Yeah.
All right, so what we want to start with, we'll go around the table real quick, but we want to start with the sexy polls, because that's what everybody cares about on opening weekend. So what was your sexiest poll?
Good thing I don't have to follow some things to come. But my sexiest pool, good thing I'm first here, was today I got the Majestic Foil Tome of Duplicity.
Okay, that's the wizard.
That's the wizard tome.
Okay.
It's a 3-cost blue. You look at the top 2, and I think you can banish 1 to play it that turn, kind of thing. I'm yet to be sold on what kind of applications it has.
The math
there.
sounds hard on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. It is a blue, so in Icelander, it is just a wizard action, not a
Worth a
wizard ice
crosslight.
action. So yeah, it's you can play it from Arsenal if you're playing Icelander, kind of thing. We'll see. The one other pre-release I played before this one, I actually got what I consider my best pool, a rainbow foil Thaw. That's the Majestic Draconic, and it's really cool. It's probably
Only affliction popper.
yes, it is exactly. Yes, it pops afflictions when you play it. You get to choose a modes on it, and it's your Draconic card. What's really cool is for those of you who are really big into collections, the art on that in rainbow foil is really poppy because it's got that contrast of cold and hot, ice and fire on the same art. So rainbow foil just really pops, and I'll probably keep that for my collection just because of that.
Nice.
So I'm actually not too bad. I really enjoyed that pool myself. Yeah.
So I'll interrupt. I actually pulled a common foil of what's the bloody tree? Like it's a common.
Cold snap.
Yeah, like
yes.
that's a gorgeous foil.
Yeah, just because the
and
contrast.
it's nothing super sexy, but like
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous foil.
Yeah, so the art I was always high on elemental version of art cards in the rainbow foils because of the color variation and how it pops with the rainbow foil version. So that kind of leads into Uprising cards as well.
Yeah, very nice. How about you?
I didn't have anything super flashy. I got the set.
Sexy
name
is the
card.
word. Sexy
Yes,
is the word.
So I pulled an Uprising, which is the Majestic that gives all of your Draconic things
yeah.
+1.
Yeah.
Good card.
So, yeah, that's
pretty good.
definitely
Very good
was very good. Was a good closer for 2 of the games for me. So
Nice. John first.
Well, I guess for me today, not that much. Uprising was also my big pull, which won me probably 2 games.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair
it
enough.
closes it. Having +1 on
Seems
4
like a pretty
attacks.
good card from Arsenal.
Yes, it's wonderful for Arsenal.
Yeah.
But yesterday we kind of cleaned house, my wife and I, because my wife plays too. So I pulled the Ghostly Touch Rainbow Foil Legendary for Prism. That was
Rainbow or
Rainbow.
I think you actually
I
said that. Sorry.
still don't know where it's going to fit into either Prism or Dromai. We'll have to see where things take it, but it's got some potential. And then she pulled a Cold Foil Extended Art Icelander.
The double-sided one, right?
She was the double-sided one, yes.
Okay, so we don't
So
have it yet.
we-
Can you send us a picture
I can.
of the
Yes.
other side of that? Because I've only seen the picture of one
Yes.
side of that.
Yes, I can do
And you don't know which side I've seen, obviously. So if you can send us
Yeah.
both sides, that'd be
that. Yeah.
All right, so I actually got a legendary today, which was pretty awesome. I got Tiger Claw in rainbow foil.
Nice.
But I'm going to pass over to these 2 gentlemen for their polls today.
May I
So-
ask you, Kevin, did you pull anything cool?
I did, but before I do want to mention that in our previous video with Andrew, the wine tasting one, I did pull. So yesterday I did pull in the Erase Space. I did mention that card in our video, and I was so happy. I played it yesterday with Fi. It was really nice, and I'm going to use it in Briar, obviously, because it's a great addition to what I want to do.
It's a great addition to any deck.
Any deck, yeah, any deck. But with that said, yes, I did pull something amazing today after
In your prize packs.
in my prize packs. Yeah, the first prize pack, today was quite a battle. A lot of good matches, especially with John. We had a really good one.
Really good match.
A mirrored Dromai versus Dromai.
Yeah.
Loved it, and then pulled the first, with the 2 packs, and I got one, and then I was looking through it, and like, oh my gosh, like I just a blood
Show the crowd.
of the Gongaii right here.
And this guy got an awesome picture of him actually pulling it like mid-pull.
Nice.
Oh, you did? Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then
Yeah, and Josh.
yes, I also pulled a Blood of the Gongaii. This is my pre-release first pack yesterday.
Yeah,
First?
to
Oh
be
my God.
clear
First pack.
to everyone, at a different pre-release.
Different one.
Yeah.
I showed up 30 minutes late because traffic was so bad, and I went to the wrong location.
Oh, no.
I sat down and I opened my first pack, and okay. I did not play it.
How did you not just pick up and leave? It was
Yeah.
all downhill from there, bro.
I made the finals. It's not downhill.
Yeah, that's
true.
right. We'll get to
He
that.
was-
We'll get to that. Yes, very
I
nice.
cheated my way to the finals.
Hey,
Very
hey,
nice.
there were reasons.
So it pays to be late, is what
Yeah.
we're saying.
That's
Lesson of the day.
what we're hearing actually consistently. So,
right.
all right. So today we had 19 players at ours. How many were there last night at Fable?
40 was
I
the
thought it was
40.
43.
43.
Wow,
Yeah.
so they got 3 kits last night.
Six
'cause
rounds
we
of
were,
Swiss.
we were capped today at 32.
Yeah.
So very
Yeah.
nice. So of our, I don't have the data for last night, but of our players today, we had 7. One of them was me, who did not draft because I was running around judging. So we had 7 Fi, 6 Icelander, and 5 Dromai, which is pretty decently balanced. I kind of expected Fi to be like 50% of the field. So what do people think about it? I'll throw it up in the field. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's sealed that Fi is usually very easy to build if you feel uncomfortable with your pool, and that's
Right.
what happened with me last night.
Yeah.
Is I didn't have much time, but I saw that I ran like 7 blues, and then the rest was mostly red. But today, I think any hero is viable depending on your pool, and I love that because like in Tails, it was essentially like in Sealed you're playing Briar, and in this format, like I played Icelander today, and it felt fantastic, even though like I ended up not getting all the way to here. It's if you have over, I think Billy was saying like 14 blues is his number. It's a great choice.
And to be clear, the only reason Billy's not recording right now is because he's playing in the finals.
Yeah.
We will probably update mid-video on how that goes.
Yes. The walk into screen.
Yeah.
That's right. Now they'll be like, we want our prizes now, please.
Yeah.
No, good
I would
feedback. Go ahead.
say, compared probably to yesterday, to give people the idea, the other pre-release that I played in yesterday was
Larger
6
sample
rounds.
size, though.
Larger
Yeah.
sample size.
Yeah.
I played against all Fi's the entire day.
Wow.
Okay.
6 rounds all against Fi. I was on Dromai, but it was a Fi match every single match, and it very much felt like last night a lot more people were on Fi. There was a good chunk, I would say, of the people who were at that pre-release who came here, and now you suddenly saw more diversity after they have already built with Fi.
Right.
And I do want to point out, so he top 8'd last night, and he top 4'd today. So his...
I'm doing okay.
Well, not,
I'm doing
I mean,
okay.
yes,
was
I'm
great,
not
yeah.
just tooting his horn, but I'm saying in terms of his observational play, that carries weight.
The rounds, you've seen a lot more
Right,
rounds
yes.
than most players
Right.
at these 2 events.
in-
Yeah.
Right.
Vegas was different. Vegas was really weird. I played Icelander, and I only saw Dromai and Icelander, which again was very strange. No Fi.
Right, but
That
were
was
you in the
rough.
beer bracket? That's the question. No, he's like, no.
No, sadly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean that was agreed. Yeah, like going into today and seeing this kind of spread, right? It's much more even. I really think people that kind of solidifies to me that we're moving towards a sealed environment specifically that can actually support all 3, which was a big question coming into this, right? Whether it's going to be just all 5s or it's going to kind of support one or the other or even 2 of them, and Icelander's going to be trailed behind. After today, I am fully kind of on board. Like, hey, yeah, anything can be viable depending on what your pool tells you to do, which is actually a really good, positive, sealed experience to me as a player.
Right.
For sure. That kind of solidifies to me.
I do want to add one thing on, because I was unofficially gathering the data as we went through, because the big thing I wanted to know coming into this weekend was if you pull a Frost Hex, you almost immediately go Icelander. Right? That was my opinion, because the only counter to Frost Hex is Thaw. And in a less efficient format, seems pretty good. However, today the only Frost X we saw got pulled was out of prize packs, and it was you.
I would say it's blue dependent. Like if you don't have,
Well, I mean, fair, yeah.
that's about it. Though. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. Like if you have enough
that's
blues
fair.
and you see it, that thing's disgusting.
Right.
So gross.
If you don't pull enough blues, Icelander will struggle in sealed.
Well, you just won't play it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the case for me. Like I had a good number of blues, so I ran with 14, like what Billy mentioned. But even that was the case. Like I still had a hard time using Icelander because I wasn't used to her sort of control style. I was struggling to figure out like when to play like out of turn and when to play in like during her turn. But then yesterday it was a bit easier because I drew at least 15 zero-cost red cards for Hawk Ninja, and because of that made me push more towards playing Fi yesterday, which was an amazing experience. With Fi I had like I think several blues, some yellow, but yeah, at least half red with zero cost, and I thought that was just perfect. So yeah, definitely depending on card pool, like what you guys mentioned. So.
And just to be clear, you were starting with Icelander today, and you switched to Dromai.
Yes, I did.
In the middle of the draft.
And which
exactly.
the numbers that I tossed out were round one numbers.
Right.
And we had two players that switched. One was Icelander to Dromai, one was Icelander to Fi.
Yeah.
So the Icelander numbers are inflated, kind of, a little
By
bit.
the end of the day.
I will note that I made the switch after my second match. So the third match was with you, John, which was a really amazing match. It was down to the wire. We were both like in the fatigue stage, and yeah, I think for me, I think Dromai feels a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like, be able to establish the board state with the Aether Ash Wings, and I only had one dragon. I had Conloria, and
I'm very excited about draft to see how things change.
Yeah.
To be clear. Yeah. But please continue.
Yeah, we'll get there.
And from what I've heard from the top 8 last night, I heard that Dromai had a huge presence, right? Especially if you're able to get the dragons and just like the Cintauri. The Cintauri cards are really good in draft because there's not a lot of 6 power cards, so it's gonna be pretty hard to pop those Phantasms. So.
Yeah, that is a thing too. Like I've noticed that at least in sealed, like those poppers, they're so hard to come by.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I want to ask you a question real quick because you're our math expert, or at least someone who I trust. Well, you're someone who I trust very much with math, right? So how does the blues of Icelander factor in with respect to also fusing, right? Because so many of the ice cards that we've seen, or maybe not even necessarily the ice cards, but so many of the cards at that pool in this format, there's a number of them that are fuse dependent as well.
Right.
So how does the math compound there? And I don't expect like a number.
Right.
Like, I don't expect like 13%. Like that's not what I expect, right? But like, how does that compound to make Icelander usable in the format?
So the only way I've been able to do it, which is in like the internet environment on TTS or one of those other platforms, is you basically have to hold an ice card.
Well, but you're playing constructed there in that case.
No,
right?
it was.
it was
sealed simulation.
Okay.
The only way that I've been.
See, I knew I could count on you. Of course, you've been sealed simulating. Of course, you have. I love you, man.
I've just like how Starvo would back in the beginning, just pulse a candle, hold, do your thing, not arsenal it, and that's how I got it to work.
But can you take that abuse at 18 health in this format?
Yeah.
With Wanting Moon, it's not terrible because you could come in for 3 after you. Like you can play like Arctic Incarceration from Arsenal, give them 2 frostbites, hit them with the Moon for 3, and that'll slow them down, let you draw back up. Then you just that's the only way I've been able to do it. I think mathematically, she definitely shines in the second cycle. The first cycle, you're really just trying to stay alive and chip damage, and then once you've been able to thin it and have, I don't think you would get more than 6 ice cards in the sealed pool, which would give you if you want the map, like an 8% chance to have it.
Yeah, I don't know the pack breakdown off the top of my head.
But my seal pool only had 6 ice cards, so I was like, this is, it's probably too fast.
Well, that lends to 1 per pack then, right?
I would agree. In the 3 I've done, I tended to get the time I played Icelander, I had 9, which was above average, and I was seeing 6 to 9.
Okay, but if you had above that, then that means it's not 1 per pack.
I think I had about I think I counted. I think I had 8 or 9 today.
Yeah.
They're not all blues, but I did.
Right,
have-
not all blues. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
One could hope.
Yeah.
But they still fuse. Even non-blue, they still act as fuse, and during your turn,
Yeah,
you can do
that's fair.
something with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's good. That's good. So, what I want to talk about now. So, I want to give a shout out to Trevor at Fable Hobby. Well-known person in the area, does a great job.
Yeah.
We cannot compete with him on pricing because I was doing the math today and I couldn't do it. But last night for the top 8 cut was a draft. So you guys top 8'd and redrafted. Welcome to 3 a.m. in the morning. But that's a little bit of exaggeration, but not much. But no, seriously. So you guys drafted. So I'm really curious. Not only so I want to hear first from you who did it. And then I want to talk everybody in terms of, because you've been testing drafting, you've been working on it. Sealed versus draft, very, very, very different. Not a huge groundbreaking statement there. So what was your experience last night?
First of all, I want to say thank you to John. Like, I know he had, life things happening that meant he could not stay. And because I made 9th on the day when, he had to drop, I was able to make the cut. So, thank you for that. Like, I'm sorry that happened.
Well, and thank you to Trevor, too.
Did you prize out and then
I
he
prized
you
out
prized
at
out and then
eight-
he
at
got the
5 to
draft,
8,
but he got the draft picks.
Exactly.
It was
Seems fair.
fantastic.
Yeah,
And I ended
exactly.
up getting,
But you made it count.
I made it count.
Yes, you did.
I made it all the way to the finals where Justin beat me. He's like a fantastic player.
Justin Salmon.
Justin Salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him. Is he good at Fab? Oh,
That's the second time I've said that this week. I'm just kidding. He's fantastic. I was kidding around. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna play Justin for the finals?" I'm like, "Oh, that guy's not good." And he was like, "Justin's a phenomenal player."
in case Justin doesn't understand sarcasm, Justin, we're being sarcastic.
Yeah, well,
Back to you.
The judge was like, "You get one, you get one response to that, like as like a crap talk thing." And he was like, "Hey, remember that time I kicked you out of the top 8 of Pro Quest?" I was like, "All right, okay, yeah, fair." So the draft was really a fantastic experience. I enjoyed it a ton. What I really thought was cool was like we were all sitting around the table. And no hero stood out as like, oh, you obviously have to I went into it thinking I want to draft Icelander, but I felt that other people would feel that way, and we ended up having 3 Dromai, 3 Icelander, 2 Fi.
Really?
That's the thing, because here's the thing, I think it's a similar effect to Tails where you're afraid everybody else is going to want to go for the easy low
But
to the
even in
ground
Tails,
aggro
we
deck.
saw a 50% Briar.
Well, the thing is, though,
I would have to say the average breakdown of Tails was probably 1 Lexi, 2 Oldhim, 5 to 4 Briars.
well, that's the thing though.
with a standard deviation of 1.
From what I understand, the smart player would go for the Oldhim draft because you're just getting past these huge value cards in draft, and then you have a good match in a Briar.
But was
'cause
this just a bunch of good top 8 players trying to outsmart each other last night versus if you were to look at a larger pool?
I first picked a Necria because that dragon is value.
Pack one, pick one.
Pack one, pick one was Necria because that's the 3 cost. Flip it, 4 attack, 7 health. When you attack with it, make an ash. When it deals or is dealt damage, make an ash, put a -1 counter on it. So it's good value in that you make ash, and as Dromai, that's super important having enough ash.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I was getting past here's your Ember Moss Centipi for 8. And it's I'm gonna take it. Here's your Rake the Embers. In red, that card is a bomb if you're playing draft. But in sealed, if you open the pool for Dromai, great, but the problem is you can only ever have a certain amount of rares, and you're not going to see a ton of dragons. It's not likely you'll see more than 2 or 3.
One or two senpais, not as much volume as you want to see. Yeah.
So I drafted.
Let's be clear. To top 8, you're working off 1 box.
Right.
One box.
Right. I ended up getting a Necria and a Kyloria. Kyloria, I think, is extremely valuable because
Caloria is a good dragon.
it's snatch on a
wonderful.
stick.
Yes.
But the thing is, what I loved about it is, if depending on your placement, you can draft a hero and be very strong. Dromai felt disgusting because there's the sand cover where it gives it an ash ward 4. It's good, but I overdrafted it because you burn through your ash. But I built a very strong deck. I ran 5 blues and the rest were reds. I might have had 1 or 2
Really?
yellows.
That's very strong. Wow.
Yeah, it
Really?
was, yeah, and I don't feel bad about that count. I think in draft, Dromai is very good because if other people highly prioritize Icelander, which I think might be common, you have a very good matchup into that. My first match was in an Eton, and I was playing like
Natan is also not good at Fab. JK.
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. And like the thing is like at first it's scary because arcane damage, and then you play your first Rake the Embers, you get 3 Aether Ashwings, you go, oh, I have AB4 because I had the stilettos, and and like you have, if the 5 player knows what they're doing, they'll just kill your dragons, and they can. But there's a game there.
No, they'll kill your Ashwings, not your dragons.
Well, yeah, that's fair. They'll kill everything. They'll just go for it because they can. But I think in like the sealed and draft differences is huge. Like as Dromai, I felt so like okay. I never felt like, am I drafting the wrong thing? After that first pick, I just kept getting past the right cards, and that might just be my experience in that draft. But I think that the draft format is also going to end up being very much like you're talking about, and like we had a very diverse field. It's fantastic, and I'm
very interesting.
I like this set for a limited perspective.
I do not hate the fact that all of the numbers are not what we expected them to be. That's not a bad thing.
I would say that from Vegas, because there was an Uprising draft in Vegas, and while I didn't do it myself, I know many players there who did, and it was very interesting. Like Icelander, if she was allowed to go free, would take over the entire draft pot.
Like Ice Lexi.
Like
I shouldn't say Ice Lexi, but
like Lexi, or
which
like
presented as Ice Lexi because of the single,
right? Or Oldhim early on in the drafts in Aria, and it seemed like a lot of players, even in Vegas, learned from the Aria drafts that basically
that's a good.
They very much learned from the Aria drafts that they can't let everything go free, and they started to prioritize a flex on about Pack 2. Is what I was getting from the players, right? Mm-hmm. And so you'd start to see where Dromai might end up being free, Fi, where you see him in sealed, very generally easy to build, and you see a lot of Fis in the sealed. In the draft, it lowers down as people have figured out this kind of draft meta, if we want to call it that. And they tend to read the table better. And I think Aria set people up for that, on how to read the table.
Yes, I will expound on that for sure. That's exactly where my brain was going. I haven't drafted Uprising at all yet, but definitely from the feedback here, I can see where I think people underrate signals in draft, right? And what's really interesting, and you look at what is draftable for Uprising, and kind of the skew between Draconic and Ice and all these heroes, just the makeup of the set itself, I think it sends big signals much earlier in the draft environment to the players on the table of what's being picked, what isn't. And it can tell you kind of, hey, I'm being passed these senpais that are huge I'm being passed Kyloria, which is like literally one of the best cards you can get for Illusionist in draft. That tells me a big signal at the table. So I think for Uprising draft, the signals are much more pronounced than any set we've seen before for Flesh and Blood period, and certainly much more pronounced within the set itself. Yeah, you're going to know right away, much earlier, like definitely by Pack 2, you're going to know who's doing what and what's going on by that. Like second pick Pack 2, you can be like, yep, this is where we're at. I can kind of trace the signals here and be like, yeah, this is where I should be going.
And is that just because the no man's land, quote unquote, of Draconic, which is only divided by 2,
exactly,
not even really no man's land? Because you kind of know who's drafting.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Just the particular makeup of the set where there's only 3 heroes, there's only 1 talent that's shared between 2 different heroes,
and even so within that party, you only want certain cards out of that.
Exactly. Whereas it's not, it's much more pronounced. Those divides, those chasms between what you're able to play and what you're able to draft for certain heroes is much bigger in this set than it has been for other sets previous. So whereas other sets were sharing much.
The counter to that then would be, is that a good thing?
I don't think it's good or bad. I would say, okay. Yeah. If you're posing the question to me, I would say it's not good or bad. I just think it's a way to play the game. It's a way to interpret the draft environment and interpret how you want to draft your Uprising event. Right, if you can pick up on that signal earlier, then great. Yeah.
So that was interesting that you guys mentioned that, because I'm thinking like, okay, well, if you're able to pick up the signals easier, does that mean that if this person's playing Icelander, maybe I can hate draft or just counter pick, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'm sure in Pack 2, this person might want this card or Frost Hex or whatever, and I'm going to take it away because I don't want this person to get it. So is that going to be?
You should absolutely hate draft Frost Hex.
Right. Yeah.
Very much.
So easier signals, but but it'll be easier to hate draft, I would imagine, right?
Yes,
I would
I could see that.
argue for newer players, this draft experience compared to your Aria draft experience, because the tells are easier to kind of learn, it's going to be better for newer players. Where you might be confused. My wife is a good example of this. She loves Sealed, and she also likes draft, started to get into it. She loves Welcome to Wrathe draft. Aria was a very confusing draft experience for her because you have to balance elemental,
you started in no man's
fusions,
land.
you started in no man's
Yeah,
land,
yeah.
and reading the tells of what people are doing is not so easy to do, especially for a newer player. And
Well, because going into a draft like Tales of Aria, you have to know the whole set by memory.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, hopefully, and I would say,
and you do to a certain extent in this set.
yeah.
That's fair.
But I'd say your more newer players don't know that as well. I would say,
absolutely.
in this extent,
That's
this
a
is
really
going
good
to be
observation.
a better set for newer players to enjoy the draft experience.
That's
very
a
much
very
will.
good observation.
Yes.
In Tales, like that was the thing. You didn't have. So in this set, it's Illusionist, Ninja, Wizard, and then like you lump Ice in with Wizard because whatever.
yeah,
but then these two are just sharing like Draconic, where in Tales you had Earth, Lightning, Ice, Elemental, you know, Wizard, or sorry, Guardian. All the you had like 7 pools to pull from. Yeah, it's
Yes.
much like.
What are you thinking?
I didn't draft that set, so I don't have any. Sorry.
Good contribution.
There was one thing too I forgot to mention.
We're giving him shit. We like the guy.
In draft, the thing that I noticed, every single game, I went to my second cycle. In Sealed, I have not done that yet, but in draft, like, it might be matchup specific, but I was playing Dromai, and I got back to my pitch every time. And as Dromai, the thing that's nice about that is you are pitching reds. So as a hero, what's strong about her, if you end up drafting her, is you can pitch away cards like Burn Away, and then later play your Phoenix Flames to, you know, go for 4, go again. It's a very strong deck, and I like that. Like, you can play in a limited format and get to your second cycle, whereas like other heroes.
And again, I kind of think that expounds on how you can pick up these signals and draft better decks earlier, right? It kind of evens the playing field on the level, your power of your deck in the draft environment, right? That you're going to longer games because your the power levels aren't so disparity there, that you can kind of play to their even power levels and get to that second cycle in a single game of draft environment. Yeah, is what I think kind of expounds on for sure.
And that's very interesting because what I found, at least today from yesterday, I was on, to give people context, I was on Dromai both today and yesterday, and even against all fives, I went 4-2 on Dromai, which says something, by the way.
Strong.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I will also preface, you do not need the rare dragons to make Dromai work. Don't believe that you need them to make the deck work. You can do just fine with the Ashlings. They're good. But it was interesting because, Kevin, you and I, we went to Fatigue in the Dromai
did.
Mirror.
Yeah.
Both of us, we went to Fatigue today in the Dromai Mirror and Sealed. And I went to Fatigue against a Phi last night as well.
Okay.
So it does happen, but I will say it's the rarity.
Okay.
I would say too, like going off you saying you don't need the rare dragons. From my experience playing the deck or having it played against me, the best card all around, in my opinion, is Rake the Embers.
I agree.
Right.
That
Yeah.
card is
Wholeheartedly,
disgusting.
that card
because
is amazing.
It seems not. Oh, I'll make 3, Ashwings. But the thing is, like, first of all, those are extreme value. Into Wizard, disgusting. But in the mirror, the person who plays it first usually is wrong because, like, that's what happened with Justin
Yes.
and I. I played mine first. Great, I get value. He plays his. He kills all my little dudes, and he moves on. The card though is absolute gas because you're playing a red. If you pitch a red for it, I made another Ash, and it does everything the deck wants. It works.
And it turns on the dragons. The red one turns on the dragons
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
And Kevin, you and I saw that was kind of, it was a war of the
was back
dragons.
and forth, and
it
then-
was back and forth.
And just to build on what you said, like, I only had one dragon.
Yeah.
I only had one dragon in my entire deck, and I relied on other cards like Wake the Embers and other ways to be able to use Ash to ward off, prevent damage, and all that. And so that was probably more valuable than actually having the dragons themselves. Because like when I put up my Caloria, it was already going to be gone anyway. So it was gone right away. And so yeah, I mean, it was. I personally feel like Dromai felt the most intense out of all the 3 that I played.
Okay.
Yeah, just because like for me, like
You mean in terms of brain power? Sorry, I'm coming in.
well, that's interesting because like with Ice Thunder, I'm so struggling to figure out how to use her because like with the whole like play on your turn, play on her on other people's turns. But for Dromai, like I've never played Illusions before, and so being able to have a board state and be like, oh wow, like I feel like I'm more.
What is a board state? Swing with your weapon.
In Fab.
Yeah.
Fab, yeah.
Yeah. Well, a board. Yeah, I mean, board state being like, you have your ash, and then you can turn those into Aether Ash Wings. They're permanents on the field that will not go away. Because, like, in Fab, we have action cards that they'll go away once you play them. But with Illusionist, you're able to have these, Prism, they have, like, auras. And then for Dromai, we have the allies, right? We mentioned in the video where allies play a huge role in playing this hero, and having those Aether Ash Wings was just like something else. Like I've never thought that I would be that comfortable playing Dromai before. My first match using Dromai and even Lucius was against John. And I was just like, wow, this feels really natural. And I was like, okay, maybe Dromai could be something that I could use in the future. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
I do want to add something to that. Being someone who was walking around watching today, right, multiple games going on at the same time, I never saw more than 2 Ash Wings on the table at the same time. And I think that speaks a lot to, well, and I just not say it never happened. I'm just saying that I never saw it. Okay. Right, but that was to my point of I feel that our field today was very good.
Yeah.
And people were spending the resources to pop Ash Wings because they knew things could go sideways on it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would argue for 5 players. That was their biggest mistake in me yesterday. Is they let the dragons take control.
Right.
Yes.
If you do not control the dragons,
let's keep in mind this is day 2 of the weekend.
So we're learning. Yeah.
We're all learning. Exactly. But if you let those dragons stay out, the best game I ended up with 8 dragons at the end of the game, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's a win more scenario.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. But when the dragons are controlled, it's a much close game.
Yes,
it's really.
I played Fi today. I played a little bit of Fi yesterday. I'll be honest.
With the Kodachis, right?
Yeah. Because I did that. Yeah. I prioritize those dragons much more today than I did yesterday because I learned some lessons. Right. And so there were opportunities, there were windows where, hey, I can use this attack to swing face. But let me assess the board state. Now that we have board states in Fab, and let me see where I can kind of snippet these Aether Ash Wings, right? Where's the value at really? Where am I in the state of the game? Where am I at the board state? And should I really attack these Ash Wings?
Yeah.
And it was 9 times out of 10 today, I was learning the lesson. Yep, you know what? Right now I should attack these Ash Wings, and that might have kept the number down on some of the games that you saw for sure.
No, it was like by and large, when I was walking around, like I said, it was only maybe one time I saw more than 2 on the board.
Yep.
Right.
The thing with Dromai too is like if say you're not attacking and she's just I'm just gonna block cards, keep one in hand. Say it's a Skittering Sands.
A red.
Cool.
Something.
I'm gonna play my red, and
Exactly.
then all you need is one card, and you're suddenly swinging for 4, 5, 6.
Saw it time and time again.
Whatever.
Saw it time and time again. Yeah, no matter what I do, as long as they had 3+ Ash Wings, that was like the threshold. Right. They would just block out everything, keep their 1 red playable, play the red, and still swing at you. And now you're really losing the tempo. You're losing that turn over turn battle as far as the Ash Wing ally permanents go. Yeah, it was really difficult.
All right, and I do want to interrupt. I just want to announce the match just ended. So Natan took down. Congratulations to Natan. We'll put up the photo right now. Billy in second place. Billy's a huge Billy. Great job. What a weekend, man. Gotta love this stuff. So awesome. All right, so let's just go around the table then. What I want to know. Should we say who you're most excited about playing or what you're looking forward to? Maybe both.
Both.
Screw it.
Kind of thing.
Adam, what are you... No, we'll go reverse. So, John, who are you looking at playing? What are you excited about most in the meta, not the set? So, who are you excited about playing most in the set? What are you excited about most in the meta?
Ooh,
I don't know why I emphasized the T on the meta twice.
Yes, meta. So, from the set, I'll start there. Mm-hmm. It's definitely Dromai for me.
Okay.
She feels like an aggressive illusionist. To give people context, I'm generally an Ice Lexi main. I also have Aura Prism built, so I tend to play the control games. I was Azalea before that, so we all know how that goes.
I'm sorry, who's that?
Yeah, who's that, right? Yeah.
She's dead.
But point being, it's interesting because Dromai is very much more the aggressive illusionist, and it'll be interesting to see. I feel she plays a lot more like a ninja than I would have originally thought she would. The Ashlings feel a lot like Kadachi for one, and then you can also push the Phantasm through. With Phantasmal Footsteps, she'll be able to gain the action point back. It's going to be an interesting... it's going to be much more aggressive, and it's something we've never seen from an Illusionist before. So that, from the set, I'm excited for. For the meta as a whole, again, I'm biased because I'm an Ice Lexi player main. So I got
Ice Lexi seems like she might be okay.
Yeah, she got some toys in this, and she also punishes the very aggressive heroes that like to be resource efficient. So I feel... Again, until we see real builds come out. And I feel I got a couple new toys in the aura I need to play around with. And once I do that, I feel like initially I will probably have a strong matchup in Defy until it's optimized, and even into Dromon. But I also am a little afraid of how Oldhim will get ice from this as well. Again, being a Lexi player. So that's my bias on that.
Billy, grab a chair.
Yeah! Nice.
We are, but you're just in time.
It's good, Josh. You're good.
There we go. Billy's
I don't know, but you're probably good. All right, so Billy just got done taking second place in our release. Nicely done.
Nice.
5 versus 5.
So we're
5 versus 5.
we're hitting you hot and hard. So what are you excited most about this set? And then what do you think? What are you excited about in the meta?
For like heroes?
Well,
Or
yeah.
cards in general?
Where do you think the meta is going to go? It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be happy with it. But
I mean, I think the meta... I think it will slow down just because, like, aside from just Icelander, the Ice heroes are getting more stuff.
Yeah.
I think Oldhim's going to get more of a resurgence. And I think he's... I don't know if he's going to be the best. Like, Icelander, I don't know where she'll fall, but she'll fall somewhere. And the better she is, I think...
fall somewhere.
Well, yeah, but
the
better she is, I think the more it warps the meta.
Right.
People have to respect her. Yes.
Yeah, because they'll have
People
to
will
build...
have to respect Iceland.
You know, if she's a tier 2 hero, that still means you're going to see her and have to probably sideboard in case of it. If she's tier 1, then, like, you're probably going to have to commit more of your sideboard to her and stuff like that. But yeah, whether she is that tier 1 or tier 2, I don't know. But then I think Oldhim was already pretty good. I mean, Prism's kind of keeping him in check.
Yeah.
But I still think he's got legs against most other matchups, especially some of the aggro ones like Fi, Briar. I think Briar, I don't know how that matchup is. I haven't played either side of it personally, but it kind of depends on how Briar draws, it feels like. But so I think Briar, Oldhim, Prism obviously are sticking around. I think you will see a lot of Fi and Icelander. Where they'll fall, I'm not certain. I guess is where I assume the meta is going.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I remember watching your interview with Archer, and you guys mentioned how how Fi's gonna interact with like the the Ice heroes, right? And so I'm like, for me, I'm gonna dedicate some time to Fi, especially in Blitz, and then I'm gonna try to figure out like, okay, how am I going to interact against the Frostbite?
In Blitz?
In Blitz, yeah.
Fi will do real good in Blitz.
I mean, well, great, that'd be great. But but for me, like as a Briar player, the heroes I've always had trouble with were Prism and anyone Ice. So Ice Lexi was like my ultimate enemy. Like, I've always had trouble like trying to figure out how to, just like deal with the frostbites, because every time I get a frostbite, like, I have to like allocate how much I have to pitch to be able to play my 5-card hand, assuming I have 1-card arsenal. So I think Ice Lexi is gonna be really strong. I think she'll be tier 1. For sure. Like,
tier 1?
I think she'll be tier 1. Yeah.
Ooh, you're more optimistic than me.
Yeah,
I think Kevin's landed on the table.
You heard it here.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean,
I like bold calls.
Yeah, I think she's going to be one of the top 3 heroes in the game, and she's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean,
that's interesting because I think if Ice Lexi's a top 3 hero, I don't think you have a top 3 hero scenario.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To get pigeonholes into the one.
I think you have everybody's tier 1.5.
Everybody else.
Okay.
I would argue you though.
Or Dash is just tier 1.
Yeah.
Or she can fight through it. Yeah.
Hold on to your pants. We'll get back to you. That's why I went this direction.
We're getting there.
I'd argue you though, again, from being an Ice Lexi player, Oldhim if Ice Lexi is up at the top, Oldhim will be up there too. Because my matchup
Oldhim's never going to LL.
Is
never going to happen.
Problems.
Because people can stall like a champ. Yeah. He's
right,
just going to
draw
will switch
like a
to
champ. Him because of Lexi.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
People will switch because of Lexi being so prominent.
I was being sarcastic.
That's a good point. Yeah, Oldhim is pretty scary. Even
Yes.
like in Blitz, like when I played. To keep it short, I played Natan's Oldhim, and Natan's like an amazing player. And like I used Briar and Blitz, and like I was playing against him, and I thought I had a lead for up to a certain point, like maybe after 5 minutes, and then after that it was just kind of like he had the ability to take a card from my hand and put it on top of my deck, and he did that like for the next several turns, and I was so like, oh my goodness, how am I supposed to, how can I deal with this? And so I still don't have an answer for Oldhim yet, so I think like you said, Oldhim's going to definitely.
Well, the answer is to stall. No.
All right,
what do you think? As our resident Guardian player.
Yeah, okay. So from this set, I'm excited for Fi. Just pulled my mask, so like I'm slamming it. But unsurprisingly for the meta, I'm excited to play Bravo Showstopper again. I'm throwing it on the table.
I'm shocked.
Who would have guessed? So it's interesting the conversation we're having. I think what we're about to experience is like this big circle of life thing where you start with Ice heroes are good, Oldhim makes a resurgence, Prism makes a resurgence. Because you're just going.
Do you know how much I would love to overlay the circle of life? Except I would get pinged for copyright. Like
if I start singing DMCA. Or whatever. I think that like Briar's could be like extremely powerful because Chane's gone. Where do Runeblade players go? Briar's an easy choice. You play Briar, they play Ice Lexi. Ice Lexi's just horrible matchup. Somebody's playing Ice Lexi. I'm playing Prism. Interact with me. Like it's this weird thing where like I want to play Bravo Showstopper because like aside from Prism, I'll play in anything else, and like even if my matchup isn't favored 40-60, whatever it is, I feel fine. I'm comfortable with the deck, and it has so much disruption. Fi is gonna hate that. I think you can interact with Dromai, but like that's going to be interesting.
Fi's going to hate it if you can get the cards out of his hand.
But the thing is,
Crippling Crush.
So Crippling Crush, Spinal Crush, Terra Sunder,
and Pummel.
I'm running Red Disable.
But my point is, you can't get it out of his hand every time reliably. Which is probably okay. But that deck doesn't want to block. I would assume in CC because that's where I'm looking for.
It's going to block terribly. Yeah,
because like you get a Phoenix Flame in hand.
There's no reason for Fi to block because most of his cards block for 2, right? Yeah, so if you look at the upside value of the card, of the only time you're going to block is when you have to
block 2 or threaten 5 with that same card.
There's bad value in blocking at 5 because if you can swing for 5 or use that same card to block for 2, like
just go for 5.
What does math tell you?
So it's interesting you say that though because I think that's for an aggressive Fi, which I'm sure a lot of people will go to first. But I mean, Fi can block. Like he can put like more 3 blocks in from like generic ninja, and off of 2 cards.
But you'd have to go. But you're going Kodachi Rupture in that case.
No, a 0 cost go again red, pitch blue Ember Blade 1 get Phoenix Flame 3rd 1 threaten mask. That's about that's 6 or 7 damage.
Yeah, but what happens if you draw your generic ninja card then that you're saying that blocks for 3? I mean, yes, I do realize there are 3 blocks in Draconic, but not very
you don't care about Draconic in this build. You don't care so much about the Draconic chain.
Just the chain links itself.
But then you're going. Well, but then you're playing the Rupture. I mean, that's
no. Well,
some Ruptures care about
what I'm
4th chain. Some care about Draconic.
I'm not even necessarily saying that. I'm just saying I think Fi has more builds than people give him credit for.
Okay. You're saying he has more than just the 2 builds?
Yes. Okay. I think he's got an aggressive Rupture. I think he's got an aggressive Draconic. And I think he's got, I don't know what to call it, but like a more defensive.
There is a Salt in the Wound build too.
We would call it similar to Katsu has what people would call Ninja Turtle. We would see that if Katsu has
but Ninja Turtle.
But the point is, you might be able to hybrid some of it into.
Yeah, I mean, you can still run
once we see some. Once we see
the 100 Winds combo, I think has a home in Fi.
I do. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, like that's
a non-draconic, right?
If you're playing non-draconic, it just makes
100 Winds of Eternity,
right?
Yeah.
Just really quick. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I don't know if it's good meta. I'm just saying Fi I think has more builds than people might be thinking.
We've completely gone off the rails, but this is good discourse. Discourse.
I think Prism is the hero that's going to define the initial builds because she's good.
Boom.
She's.
Boom.
I play Bravo. I hate it, but she's good. She lost weirdly her best and like worst matchups, where it's like Chane's gone, Starvo's gone. Starvo wasn't best, but it was the reason she could like do well in the top was because she does good in Guardian. So we'll see. Like, because like if she doesn't have to sideboard for like a fatigue plan with Chane, and she doesn't have to sideboard for here's my unmovables for Starvo, the deck opens up for choices, and I think that will define what you can do. And then depending on how much ice impacts her, I think you go from there.
Well, I'd say too, Prism has been a gatekeeper for many decks in the meta for a while,
Yeah.
and I think she's going to definitely keep that gatekeeping role on how the meta develops.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, what's your take?
So probably for me, the thing that I'm most excited for and what I want to hopefully see from the meta is Wizard and CC. So, speak up, sorry. Yeah, so I played Wizard and CC before with just Kano, and I always felt like I was always like 5 or 6 life short. So now with Icelander, I have that, and I kind of want to make like this mid-range, like tempo-y burn build, where I'm running like Kano ratios of blue, cutting op for ice, and setting up that
Cutting
huge,
opt for ice. Interesting.
and setting up that huge wildfire snapback on their turn. I don't think she wins with the 40 blues, ton of ice. That just feels like you're playing to not win versus playing to win. Playing to not die versus playing to win. So yeah, that's my take. I think if someone can figure her out, like the Vors and the other top Kano players of the world, they can figure out how to take the Kano core, give it disruption, give you the time to set up that kill, that she'll be very powerful, and that's what I'm going to be spending most of my time, hopefully trying to figure out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your weapon of choice?
I'm
curious.
For Wizard.
I think
We're
it's
talking about
Crucible.
Wizard.
I don't think you give up Crucible. I think Waning Moon is very powerful, and I can see it having a lot of play, but I just don't think you give up that math at the end of the game when you want to close it out.
Do you think drawing a card from the Everfest weapon makes a lot of sense?
When I tried it in Blitz, it wasn't super impactful because they were, by the time you...
Oh, even in Blitz, they were committing.
Talking about Kraken Aether Vein, right?
Yeah, sorry. Didn't remember.
Okay,
Thinking drawing a card with frostbites, always having value on drawing a card is kind of where I'm going with that. So I'm not a wizard player. So.
But I just felt like, there's the Absorbent Aether, Crucible, Blue Reverb from Arsenal. Now you're coming in for 4, banish, a red from your hand, hit them with that. If it's like an Emeritus or... I like Chain Lightning after the Stir ban, so it would be Blue Reverb and the Chain Lightning, something else from hand, and that's 10-12 damage off of 1 blue. So,
that's pretty strong.
Yeah, so that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah. For me, in set, I'll be honest, I think today was definitely an eye-opener to how level the playing field can be for all three. Jermai's the biggest surprise for me. I really agree with that. I really thought, I think that echoes the table. Jermai was really solidified her spot in the set, so to speak, right? So really the biggest surprise for me there. So I'm actually looking forward to a limited environment where all 3 heroes are viable in their own respects. If you're looking to signals in draft early enough, then you can kind of get that level playing field for all 3 heroes. That's big thumbs up for me. That's very cool. As far as where the meta goes, I really think it's going to be mostly dependent on where ice falls. And I actually echo the table that where ice falls, where I see ice falling, isn't going to be from Oldhim necessarily, or even Icelander. It's going to be Ice Lexi. I think Ice Lexi is really going to define how fast or slow we're going to be in the next meta. How fast we're going to be if we get there, if it's going to be a fast type of thing, is really going to depend on... it's funny, right? Because we're looking at when the next set releases, we know Starvo and Chane, the fastest, most aggressive heroes, both the top 2, gone. Gone.
They're gone.
So where do we look for if you want to play? It's funny when people look at metas. You look at what is. If you're trying to be most competitive, you just look at what is good into the meta. Whether it's slowing down with ice stuff, whether it's aggressive stuff, whatever. And then you look at looking at what's available in the meta and what's consistent. Is it aggressive that's best? Is it slowing down with ice or control type of stuff is best? If you think it's aggressive, well, what aggressive deck do I play then, right? If aggressive is best in the meta, I want to play the best aggressive deck.
Sure.
And I think that's really where it's going to be interesting for me personally. That's where I see it going. Is it going to be these Phis that can keep up with a lot of the aggressive levels of damage output from now that Starvo and Chane are gone, right? Or where does the new level of aggressive turn over turn damage output come from? Is Fi going to define that, or is someone like Dash going to define that? Right, where we've seen Dash, we haven't really talked about that much about current existing heroes, but I think Dash can put up numbers just as well as Fi, at least just in testing, right? Just kind of theory crafting testing. I think Dash and some other heroes, Lightning Lexi, right, can put up a lot of good damage output in a turn-over-turn basis.
But Lightning Lexi, ironically, can't deal with Ice Lexi. But,
right, yeah, so we'll see how that works out. So ultimately, I think it's going to be, my big question mark personally is where Ice fits. I don't personally think it's going to come from Oldhim or Icelander even. I think it's going to just be where Ice Lexi kind of fits in, right? How much she's improved and how she can fit into how these other heroes are trying to be aggressive into that. If they can still go over the top of her, if they can still push through, then we're defining where the aggressive meta is, and where that then becomes the top tier deck, and we're defining who puts out the most output on a turn over turn to who wins the turn battle, right? Turn over turn battle of, is it Lightning Lexi that's putting up bigger numbers? Is it Fi that's putting up bigger numbers on a consistent basis? Is it Dash that actually still fits in there with all of the tools that she got from Everfest? And that's the big question mark I have. Yeah, so that's kind of what I look forward to, where that very tippy top shakes out.
Yeah. No, I think that's great feedback, and haven't talked to Adam about this, hitting him blind, but I would love to have Adam on a one-on-one interview about Dash.
Same. Yeah,
on the porch. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, on your thing of Ice, I think you're right. I think it's not even necessarily just Ice Lexi. It's just that now that there's 3 Ice heroes in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, one of them will be at least tier 2.
Yes.
One of them might even be as high as tier 1.
Right.
And just that threat alone.
Yes, and where that shakes out, I think will then develop with what is aggressive even viable. That's the question we want to answer. Is aggressive even viable into that type of meta? If it is, what's the best aggressive deck? And that tells me what hero should be competing.
I think it's going to be.
And it might not
be Oldhim.
It might not even be the deck that can do the most damage. It might be the one that can better deal with research. Because I know, for instance, Dash runs a lot of blues, right?
Right, exactly.
Even in the fast version of her,
right?
You know, that might be able to deal better with the Frostbites than Fi, who on the aggressive build runs blues, but not as many.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Not even just damage output, period, but just that's why I mentioned a turn over turn, right? How her turn goes with the hands they're given. How can they best deal with the damage output in that turn over turn sense, right? Using enough blues and still dealing damage. That's what I mean. Exactly what you're hitting.
I would argue too. Another thing we
there,
haven't seen quite yet with this many Ice heroes in the meta is how people are going to adapt instead of running as many reds to running yellows and blues,
especially in a set that encourages you to run reds.
Exactly. How are you going to deal with your pitch basis to deal with the potential of 1 Frostbite a turn? Or 2 potentially, right? And I think you'll see the decks adjust, and you might see mid-range take off more than we first think.
I mean, I kind of want Ice to be big, because I would love to play Viscerai again with his cost reductions.
We all want to slow down.
Even if I don't have skeletons,
we all want to slow down to do things.
I was about to say, well, yeah, give me 4 Frostbites. Cool. Yeah, about to say I can. Well, that's not a cost reduction mode, but you can still 4 rune chains. You can still amplify for free.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with that. Well, we've played that match.
Or got 1 floating. They give you 3 frostbites. They attack again. I'm blanking on the defense reaction.
That's the one I'm thinking.
Reduce the rune chant.
Reduce the rune chant. That's the one I'm thinking.
We'll pop all the frostbites, give you another rune chant, then you're free to go on your turn.
And for Ice Lexi, that feels so bad when they reduce to rune chant and it's free and all your frostbites are gone.
Well, you guys are already addressing my Viscerai question, so we'll wipe our hands of that one.
Oh, were there Viscerai questions?
Well, that was gonna be it, but we're already pushing the limit. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time after your tournament. It's been a hell of a long day. We've been here for 6+ hours at this point. So, Adam, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. Adam, you guys heard it on camera. He committed. We're gonna talk about Dash. Everything you ever wanted to know. It's gonna happen. So, John, any shout outs you want to give?
No, I think I'm good.
Just the wife?
Yeah, I guess shout out to Christine, my wife. That's a good point. Thank you. Poke.
Billy, any shout outs?
No shout outs.
Kevin?
No, I'm good.
Josh?
I want to thank my family. I want to thank my sponsor.
There you go.
I'm making it to the top.
Nice. The Lord Jesus Christ.
I have no shout outs.
He's like, I can't follow that.
Just a shout out to all of you. These are the people I play with day in, day out. These are the people who kind of make me the player I am. And so I'm super appreciative of all of you here at the table and those who couldn't make it, of course. And certainly big shout out to Gongaii as our game store. Right? They're giving us the space, the time, the opportunities to play, do the things they do. Plus, they serve very good beer.
Excellent beer selection.
Yes.
And cider.
They have
Yes. You are a cider drinker.
And ciders. Fair enough.
Don't forget us.
You and my fiance would get along well.
Well, I want to give a huge shout out to these guys again. They stuck around to record. I hope that red light's still on because I can't see
It's
it.
on.
It's on.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for sticking around, hanging out. I love hanging out with you guys, and make sure to give us the comments in the videos, whatever you kids are doing these days. But you guys all got to say it with me, okay?
Okay.
3,
ready.
2, 1.
Go Commando!
Nicely done.
Hey, I like that one. Yeah, that's good.